I'm playing Pokemon Stadium, Round 2, Little Cup. So in the Little Cup, like most of the other modes in Pokemon Stadium 2, you select 6 Pokemon to start out with. But the Pokemon can only be level 5, the Pokemon must be capable of evolution, and the Pokemon cannot have evolved. So for example, Charmeleon would be illegal because it has evolved, but Charmander would be legal because it hasn't evolved and it is capable of evolving. And standalone Pokemon that neither evolve nor can be evolved, like Tauros, Pinsir, are illegal. So right now you can see in my team it contains Scyther, Chansey, and Porygon. So all the 3 of those were standalone Pokemon back in Generation 1, meaning they couldn't evolve or be evolved. But in Generation 2, the 3 of those were all given evolutions. So technically that makes them legal in Generation 2. Now in Generation 4, Chansey was given a pre-evolution, Happiny. So if you were playing in Generation 4 or later, Chansey would be illegal. But just because I'm playing in Generation 2, it's technically legal. So I'm starting out with Scyther, arguably the most powerful Pokemon that technically fits the requirements of Little Cup. A lot of people playing in the Little Cup actually banned Scyther because it's that good. So you notice I start off with Swords Dance, which doubles my attack. The reason that Scyther is so powerful is because it has very high attack and speed. And for Little Cup standards, its hit points and defenses are pretty good as well. So my 4 attacks with Scyther there: Wing Attack, Swords Dance, Return, and Hidden Power. In future generations, I think you're given X-Scissor, which is an aerial ace, which are generally better moves. But in Generation 2, I have to make do with Hidden Power Bug instead of X-Scissor. Which it only has 10 power less, so it's still pretty good. I'm still fortunate to even be able to use this. So also, in case you didn't already know, Return has 102 power when your Pokemon has max happiness. So happiness, that's just another mechanic within the game. The more battles you win with the Pokemon and the longer you walk around with the Pokemon, the greater its happiness is, and when it faints, its happiness decreases. You might have seen like Roots and like the revival route that decreases happiness. There's actually another move, I think it's Frustration, which increases power when your happiness is lower. But I find it's generally easier to maintain maximum happiness as opposed to minimum happiness. Alright, I'm starting off with Scyther again. So with the moves I'm currently using, I might have some trouble if I go up against a Steel type, and I guess a Rock type might be some trouble too. But I don't think Rock type resists Bug. I think it's only the Steel type. So alright, my opponent using Phanpy there. I actually have a Phanpy in my own team because there tend to be a lot of electric types. So having a ground type in reserve like Phanpy is pretty good. The only other ones I were considering were Rhyhorn and Diglett, but overall I just think Phanpy is a little better. Okay, so with the same type attack bonus, Hidden Power Bug is my most powerful attack. I think it starts off with 70 power, and then after the same type attack bonus, it's raised to 105 power.
The number of remaining Pokemon is 3 to 1. Wing
Alright, so Bulbasaur being a grass type, it's weak to flying moves like wing attack.
The last Pokemon goes down. And there goes the battle.
Okay, so it seems like Scyther is pretty overpowered. So I'm probably not going to be using Scyther that often anymore. Maybe I'm going to put it in the 3rd slot as a reserve, just as a backup in case my other 2 Pokemon faint, or maybe I'll only use it against really powerful opponents. So I'm just thinking for a second, which Pokemon should I use?
We've been blessed with a succession of hotly contested battles here in Pokemon Stadium. The roar of the crowd signals the start of the 3rd
Okay,
round.
so I'm starting off with Gastly here. So it's the 4 moves I have are Thunderbolt, Explosion, Hypnosis, and Hidden Power. And the Hidden Power is Fire. Now if I had Hidden Power Ice, I could probably knock this Pokemon out in 1 hit.
Hang in there.
But because I was using Hidden Power Fire, which it still does double the damage, but it doesn't do 4 times the damage like Hidden Power Ice would.
There's a big ace.
So if you're using Gengar, you can actually use Fire Punch. And since this is Generation 2, it's before the physical and special split. So Fire Punch will actually act as a special move.
It's better protected
But
against
because I'm
sparks are flying from both competitors.
I'm using Gastly, I just have to make do with Hidden Power. You know, in Generation 4 and upward, after the physical and special split, Gengar kind of has to use Hidden Power anyway.
Are both Pokemon running out of steam?
Also, because Ghost moves are physical, that kind of means Shadow Ball isn't going to be that useful.
What's it doing? It's
No,
out of there.
you know, I attack myself 3 times in a row. Because my opponent used Swagger, which doubles my attack power, that means I'm actually going to do more damage even when I attack myself.
With Porygon. Foe is weak. Now's the time to attack. One Pokemon is still capable of going on, but the other one looks tired. The blast of Ice Beam.
I guess it might seem a bit unusual for me to have Curse and Ice Beam on the same moveset, in the sense that I'm raising attack, but then I'm not taking advantage of that attack. But most of the things that resist normal moves, like a Rock and Ghost, are hit pretty hard by Ice Beam. And Porygon has a decent special attack, so I'm just trying to attack from, you know, both spectrums, both attack and special.
There it goes. Oh, a blow to the weak spot. Whoa.
I always kind of wondered what was going on when I got critical hits, and Pokemon Stadium kind of explains that by saying it's a blow to the weak spot.
Oh, it's Psyduck. This is the last Pokemon. Reflect appears to have worn off. The number of remaining Pokemon is 2 to 1.
Okay, so I'm starting off with Curse here. I believe that Curse is the only move in Generation 2 games that raises 2 stats simultaneously. There are moves like Swords Dance and Amnesia that raise 1 stat twice, but I think this... And there are moves in later generation like Dragon Dance. In fact, there are a lot of moves in Generation 4 and 5 that raise 2 stats at once. But I'm pretty sure this is the only move in Generation 2 that raises 2 stats like this, which makes it pretty useful. You do have to sacrifice speed, but I think that's well worth it.
Aha! It's confused no more. Oh, a quick snooze.
So because the Little Cup is kind of fast-paced,
They're both hanging
meaning you don't really have as much time to use rest and recover, I'm just using a Mint Berry there, so I don't spend 2 turns sleeping.
Confusion made it tougher.
Even with Pokemon like Porygon and Chansey, you don't have all that much time to to rest and recover.
Sparks are flying from both competitors.
So you probably noticed the little cup is kind of more fast-paced than most other Pokemon matches. Most of the Pokemon don't have all that great defense. It's mostly focused on attacking quickly.
What'll it do? What impressive impact!
So on one hand, that means it's a greater risk to do moves like Swords Dance and Curse, because it means you might get taken out more quickly. But on the other hand, it gives you a greater reward, because your opponent tends to not have that much defense. So after a Swords Dance or a Curse, you can generally just take out the opponent's entire team. Alright, so I've gotten through the first 3 battles without too much trouble.
The battles are intensifying to a fever pitch. This is round 4.
Alright, so I'm starting things off with Chinchou. I think Chinchou and its evolution Lantern are the only Pokemon that are both water and electric types. I could be wrong about that. I haven't fully kept track of all the, the Generation 5 Pokemon and stuff. But this is really the only one I can think of. I'm pretty sure it's the only electric and water type. So, being an electric and water type, it has access to a pretty good move pool. Surf, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam. And on top of that, unlike Starmie or Staryu, it actually gets the same type attack bonus from electric moves. And, electric is just kind of a good balance for water types because it helps it resist other electric moves. Now, it's still weak to grass attacks, and it's still weak to ground attacks, but overall it's still very useful. I was actually considering using Rain Dance and having Thunder instead of Thunderbolt, but just because the little cup is so fast-paced, usually if I get a super effective hit, I can knock out my opponent's Pokemon without even taking the time to use a Rain Dance, so I just decided not to do that. Alright, so my opponent didn't even really touch me in that battle. I didn't get hit at all. All my opponent did was use a double team, which didn't really work. So far, I've only had one Pokemon faint in all 4 battles. Alright, so I'm already more than halfway done. This is the 5th battle now. Though then again, I guess the battles do get tougher, so maybe it isn't really like I've beaten half of them. I mean, I've beaten half the battles, but the second half are the tougher battles. So now I'm going up against the grass type. I do have Body Slam and Hidden Power Rock, which do neutral damage, but I'm still thinking that probably isn't going to be enough. So I'd probably be better off just switching. I think I have a Ghastly in reserve. That would probably be my best bet. Yeah, because my other Pokemon in reserve is Chinchou, and that's weak to grass as well. It's See, what were the grass moves in Generation 2 again? Yeah, there's Giga Drain, Razor Leaf, and of course you have Solar Beam.
How will this newly switched out Pokemon fare?
Alright, so I have Hidden Power Fire. 2 of those should be enough to take out this, what was this again? Chikorita, that was it.
There's the attack. That did little damage. It used its held item to restore HP. It's a fierce battle.
So, as you can imagine, items like berries are much more useful in the Little Cup, since the Pokemon have a lot lower hit points. I think the hit points restoring items are Berry, which restores 10 hit points, Berry Juice, which restores 20, and Gold Berry, which restores 30.
The White Hot battle continues.
Okay, so Thunderbolt is my most powerful move right here. Like I mentioned earlier, Shadow Ball is a physical attack, so because of that, I don't have any same moves that give me same type of attack bonus with Gastly. So I wasn't really counting on this Cleffa knowing Psychic. It's probably lucky for me that Clefairy is given a pre-evolution, because otherwise Clefairy would be legal.
Remain on each side. Sparks are flying from both teams. How's that? A light attack. A furious attack. A savage kick. There's a big HP difference between the two combatants. Hang on, Earthquake!
I wonder if there was a speed tie or something.
Yes, it's going down.
Because when there's a speed tie or both when one Pokemon has higher speed, that Pokemon will move first unless there's something else affecting it, like a Pokemon is using Quick Attack or another priority move. But when the two Pokemon have the same speed, then whichever one goes first is random. It's a 50-50 chance.
There's the attack. Hit. That inflicted some damage.
It could have also been possible that my opponent was holding a Quick Claw that gives it a 25% chance of moving first. Uh-oh. I'm kind of surprised I didn't knock out Fanphy. I guess it's because Meryl doesn't have all that great special attack. I remember Meryl used to be referred to as Pika-Blue, you know, back early on when it was first being revealed back in late Generation 1. I guess because it does kind of look similar to Pikachu. I think some people were speculating that maybe it's like a branched evolution of Pikachu or they're somehow related.
Pokemon remains. Oh, it's Chinchou. It's down to the last Pokemon now. It's a fierce battle.
Okay, one of the good things about being part water is that I resist other water moves like Surf, but I also have access to Thunderbolt, so I should be able to take out Meryl pretty easily.
That settles this battle. And there goes the battle.
Okay, so that was the first battle where I lost 2 of my Pokemon, or 2 of them fainted, but I still won. Alright, so I only have 3 battles to go. Okay, it looks like she has a Dratini and Abra, which can be very useful. You know, Abra because it has such strong speed and special attack. Dratini has good all-around stats. I think I'm going to get started with Fanphy.
By the wayside, leaving just 8 to reach the quarterfinals.
You know, come to think of it, Dratini is the only legal dragon type in the Little Cup, because the only other dragon type other than the Dratini family, you know, Dragonair, Dragonite, is Kingdra, and Kingdra is an evolution, so it wouldn't be legal in the Little Cup.
One hit. That was just too quick. This has turned into a vicious battle right off the bat. Oh, it's Dratini. The number of remaining Pokemon is 3 to 2.
So Earthquake, in case you didn't already know, it has 100 power, making it, I believe it's the strongest attack in Generation 2 that doesn't have a drawback like it can miss, or you have to recharge, or like with Explosion, it knocks yourself out as well. Oh wait, I guess there's Return as too. Whether or not you want to consider having to have max happiness a drawback or not is up to you.
What Pokemon will appear next? What will be next? Oh, it's Chinchou! Will this Pokemon avenge?
So, Dragon type's only weaknesses are Ice and other Dragon moves. And Kingdra is pretty much the only Pokemon that can use Dragon moves well in Generation 2. I could have used Ice Beam there, but I was just worried about my opponent switching, and I think was pretty confident that Surf would be able to knock out Dratini. Okay, I'm a little worried about Abra just because it's so fast. You know, it's kind of strange that she would use Thunder Wave on something that's already fast like Abra.
It can't move.
Uh-oh.
It's a fierce battle. A furious attack.
Both Thunderbolt and Surf have same type of attack bonus and they both have the same power, but Thunderbolt has a chance of paralyzing that opponent, so that's why I chose Thunderbolt. Now that Abra is paralyzed, it's going to be slower than my Pokemon in reserve, that's Scyther. And since Scyther has such strong attack and it has a bug move and hidden power, I'm going to win the battle no matter what. But just for the fun, I'm going to play out this battle between Chinchou and Abra. And on top of that, if I switched out to Scyther now, there's a chance Abra would use Psychic and maybe it would get a critical hit and knock out Scyther. So my best bet is just to continue playing with Chinchou and see what happens. Alright, so like I expected, Abra was able to knock out Chinchou.
Just one Pokemon remains. Okay.
Alright, so one attack from Scyther should be enough to finish Abra off.
Down to the last Pokemon now.
I guess I'll just use Wing Attack just for the fun of it, because all three of my attacks could knock out Abra in one hit. Abra has really low physical defenses.
That settles this battle. And there goes the battle.
Okay, I just won the 6th battle and I only have 2 to go. So they sort of make winning battles here resemble the gym leader thing. You win, every battle represents a gym badge, and when you win all 8 battles, then you win the cup, whatever the cup is. Pokemon Stadium 2 is divided into different cups. Like there's the Little Cup, which I'm playing now, which only lets you use these level 5 unevolved Pokemon. There's the Poké Cup, which lets you use level 50 to 55 Pokemon, with a few Pokemon that aren't allowed, like Mewtwo and Lugia. There's the Prime Cup, which every Pokemon is allowed. And then there's the Challenge Cup, which gives you a random team of Pokemon. Or I guess they have these certain sets of Pokemon that can be selected, kind of like rental Pokemon, and then your team is randomly selected among those rental Pokemon.
It used a Gold Berry to restore its HP. The heated action continues.
Okay, so it's using Curse. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the dangers to using Curse in the Little Cup is that the battles are really fast-paced. So odds are after you use a Curse or two, you have a risk of being knocked out.
What now? That did little damage.
I kind of was expecting Quick Attack to do more damage after those two Curses. I guess Quick Attack is a pretty weak attack. It only does, I think it's 40, it has 40 power. So in a sense, it's like using, it's like she just used Extreme Speed without any boost. And Eevee doesn't have all that high attack. Wow, another Quick Attack. You know, it seems like it would make more sense to just use fast Pokemon like Abra, and then use a more powerful attack like Psychic. Voltorb is really fast too. Voltorb might be the fastest Pokemon that's illegal in Little Cup. I'm not completely sure of that. And keep in mind again that this is Generation 2, so only the Pokemon from Bulbasaur to Celebi, the first 251.
This has turned into a one-sided battle.
So even though she's getting to move first, and she's only using weak attacks like Quick Attack, she isn't doing that well. So one Thunderbolt will probably knock out my opponent. I think this is Natu, the pre-evolved form of Xatu. I kind of get the names mixed up with these pre-evolved Pokemon because mostly I'm just playing with fully evolved Pokemon.
There are no more remaining Pokemon.
Alright, so that was really easy. I'd probably say that was even easier than the last battle. Okay, so you might have noticed this by now. If you can defeat your opponent and none of your Pokemon faint, all three of your Pokemon are still active, then you get a continue. And that continue allows you to keep playing if all three of your Pokemon faint. So if you don't have a continue, then you have to start all the way back from the beginning with the first trainer. But let's say I'm on the 7th or 8th trainer, if I have a continue, I can just continue where I left off on that same trainer. And it even lets you reselect the Pokemon. So maybe if you lost because you selected some bad Pokemon, it'll let you redo that.
Final battle. Which trainer will claim the champion's throne?
Alright, I'm starting off with Ghastly here. Alright, so Slowpoke is going to be weak to Thunderbolt, so this should go very well for me. Oh, it looks like this guy is smart. He switched out. Okay, so if you're familiar with Pokemon, you probably know that Chansey has really high hit points and special defense. So special moves like Thunderbolt aren't going to do all that much. So my best bet is to just attack it with a physical move like Explosion. I could have switched, but Chansey is just so irritating that I think it's worth it to just explode and get rid of it.
Oh my! It's a double knockout! Oh my!
So I have to keep in mind that in Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2, there's a self-KO clause. And that means that if I use Explosion with my last Pokemon, I'm going to lose even if my opponent's last Pokemon faints.
Pokemon is back for another go. 2 Pokemon remain on each side.
Okay, so I think Slowpoke has better special attack, so I should be pretty safe when I'm facing it with
The
Chansey.
poison will steadily weaken the victim.
Uh-oh, it knows Earthquake.
A light hit.
So, Chansey has such high hit points that even when it's being hit by a physical attack, it still is pretty durable. And on top of that, Slowpoke doesn't have great physical attack, so I should be pretty safe. All I have to do now is wait for the Toxic to take effect. So Toxic Poison, it's different than regular Poison. With regular Poison, I think it takes away 1/8 of the opponent's hit points each turn. But with Toxic Poison, it starts out with a 16, but then it increases every turn. I think it increases by a 16th, I'm not completely sure. So like on the first turn it does 1/16, then 2/16, then 3/16, then 4/16. So eventually, if the battle goes long enough, even if the opponent is restoring its hit points with like berries or recover, that poison is going to be doing more and more damage. Like maybe I've seen some battles where the Toxic Poison is taking out more than half of my opponent's hit points each turn. But if my opponent switches out, then that counter resets back down to 1/16. Now, one of the things about the Little Cup is that it seems like the hit point damage rounds off, so I guess that works to my opponent's advantage. So maybe since 2 hit points would be too much for 1/16th damage, maybe it just rounds off to 1 hit point. So yeah, like I managed, that rounding off could work to my opponent's advantage.
A light hit.
Alright, so the poison is doing a little more damage each turn, so sooner or later that Slowpoke is going to be knocked out unless it switches. So Chansey's special attack, I mean it's so-so, it's better than attack, but it's not all that high, which kind of makes sense for something that's this defensive and this bulky. So right now I'm just using Light Screen, Soft Boiled, and Ice Beam when I get the chance, and I'm just trying to whittle its HP down little by little, and eventually it should be knocked out. Oh, another interesting point in the second generation, or at least from what I can tell from Pokemon Stadium, it appears the poison activates after my opponent's turn, not at the end of both of our turns. So, you know, let's say I was using a grass type and maybe I was going to use Giga Drain or something. If my opponent is faster, maybe it's going to be knocked out by the poison before I get a chance to use my attack. Uh-oh. I wasn't expecting Onix to be faster. Oh, it got a critical hit too. That's really lucky on my opponent's part. It's not so lucky for me though. Alright, so I still have Chinchou in reserve. And Onix, because it's both ground and rock type, it's 4 times weak to water moves like Surf. So I should be able to take it out pretty easily. Unless it has a focus band or something, this is the end of the battle. Alright, that's it. I just won the Little Cup in round 2 of Pokemon Stadium 2. So, in case you didn't know, after you beat all the challenges in Pokemon Stadium for what's round 1, then this round 2 appears, which it's just like round 1, but the challenges are more difficult. Alright, so this is kind of like the Hall of Fame thing on the portable games. It just shows you all the Pokemon. I guess this is like the credits or something. It's giving them recognition. Alright, I just beat the Little Cup.